Messing around down here tonight in the basement, in the workshop, and I wanted to thank everybody who wished me well on my surgery. Everything went fine. Right hand has been relieved of carpal tunnel syndrome. Been bandaged up with this soft bandage to keep me from bumping into stuff, and 2 to 4 weeks I should be back to normal usage on that hand. So thanks everyone for wishing me the best, and everything went well. Thank you. So tonight I'm just kind of piddling around down here. I thought, I really can't hang on to a soldering iron yet to mess with this Sylvania clock radio. So why don't we try to see if we can get the clock going. So I took the back apart, took this plastic cover off. Motor sits back over here underneath. And then I ohmed out the black wire to the black wire to the blue, and then the red wire to the black. The black is your common ground, and the red goes to a switch, and the blue goes directly to a clock motor. And everything ohmed exactly the same, so I took the back off of it, spun it around a few times. It kind of freed up a little bit the more I spun it, and got out my good old handy dandy liquid bearings. Spun it around a few more times, and lo and behold, plugged her up, and it spun back to life. So it's been sitting here running on the bench for about the last 15 minutes, and it says it's right at 6 o'clock. Sure enough, well, 7 o'clock. And it needs set an hour ahead, but it's keeping time rather well. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. Probably can't see it, but down inside there, everything's whirring away. Nice and loosened up. So, the few defeats I've had with this Sylvania clock radio, the clock section has come back to life with the least amount of effort so far, and it seems to be keeping good time. I also took the plexiglass front off the case yet again. You'd seen in one of the other videos prior to me bringing it down here to work on it again that it was off once before. And got the front over here, and you've noticed how nasty that is. There really ain't much I can do about it. Somebody had used car polish or something on it, and the white is actually trapped in between the layers. Wait, someplace dark you can see it. It's actually trapped between the layers, and it's either car wax or dishwashing detergent. That might be what it is too. It's powdery. It's white down inside of there. At first I thought it was like turtle wax. It looked green, but it's white. So I don't know if somebody tried to wash this in a dishwasher or washed it in your sink and didn't get all the soap off. All I did was make a nasty mess for the next person trying to fix this up a little bit better. It's just cake solid down in there. What a mess. Some people, they just can't leave well enough alone. Nice thing about testing this clock motor out, I get to try out my new isolation transformer in Variac, even though I'm not using the Variac right now. But my isolation transformer is humming away and seems to be doing a rather nice job. Now that I have the clock motor up and running for this Sylvania 542 GR, we need to turn our attention to a few other things that send up some red flags. For instance, the 12BE6, the 50C5, and the 12AT6 all have open filaments. And as you've seen in a prior video, the 12BE6 has suffered a pretty catastrophic failure because the hole inside of that tube is dark. And you can see a hole blown in that filament when you hold it up in front of the light. The 12AT6 suffers from the same failure here on the side on the filament. There's a hole right there. The output tube, the 50C5 back here, also has an open filament. So apart from needing 3 tubes, which I hope to acquire tomorrow, it sleet and freezing rained early this morning, and I wasn't able to make my trip down south to get my tubes today. It's only 8 miles, but I'd feel comfortable staying here at home rather than in the side ditch. Personal preference. The other night I was doing some testing, resistors and my capacitors I'd put in, and these IF cans and such. And what I realized is that there's several resistors. I shouldn't say several, I think there's maybe 2 or 3 out of what's in here that's over 20% plus or minus on the tolerance. This one right here with the silver band, he's only a 10%er, and same thing right here. This particular one right here, which all depends on how you look at it, because if you look really closely, and this ain't possible how this one's set up, the bands measure black, or read black, black, brown. But if you look, and this camera will never pick it up, there's a second brown stripe right there. Like this resistor had been rebadged for something else. It measures 24.5 ohm. It's supposed to be a 25, but this is not the R11 that's in this schematic right here. That's a 25 ohmer right there. Well, that's not in the proper spot for the R11. This is something completely different. Actually, as a matter of fact, it's not even in the diagram. There's more resistors in this set, as you're looking at it right here, right now, than what there is over here on the diagram. So, that one, it goes, if you read it correctly, it goes black, brown, silver. That makes no sense. If you don't pay attention to the brown banding that's on there, I did this online. I picked up, somebody had passed along a color band identifier on the web, and you plug these bands into it and it'll give you your values and tolerances in kilo, thousands or mega ohms. And this one reads black, brown, but it looks like it's black, brown. Anyway, whatever it reads 24.5 ohm on the tester. My 47 microfarad capacitors here that are my filters have drifted horribly. So something has went wrong in here somewhere, because these now measure 69.7 microfarads, both of them. If you open them from the circuit and test them one-on-one on the capacitor tester here, they both measure 69.7 microfarads, and they're supposed to be 47 apiece, which the 47s are actually replacing 40 and a 40, which was in this radio as a tube electrolytic right here originally. My IF cans are supposed to ohm out at 13 and 18 and 22 and 22. This one ohms out at 13 and 13. This one ohms out at 9 and 9. So we have some weird discrepancies in this set, which I think it's cursed from the word go, because I can't even find a proper schematic that will agree on a date that this thing was made. I guess one up here comes from Beatman's. I think that's how it's pronounced. And it's the manual of the most often needed radio diagrams for 1952. 1952. Okay? Over here off Nostalgia Air, this diagram for this radio says pre-1955. Everything I've found online points out that this is a 55. I've found another fellow that had a picture gallery, and like this one being green, his was yellow. Rather ugly, to be honest with you. It's kind of about the color of this paper, but a little brighter. It wasn't very attractive, I didn't think. That green with the gold color is a lot more easier on the eyes than the yellow was, because I think it was yellow. His was yellow with black numbers, so it's a little wild looking. But the nice thing about these two schematics is that they pretty much agree on everything, except for one thing. If I quit throwing stuff on the floor here, I'll show you that there was a bit of a change for this C19 capacitor in line right here between the 40 microfarad cap and the 25 ohm resistor going back to the rectifier tube. Over here it's been moved in line with the switch through the 25 ohm resistor back to the rectifier on pin I believe that's 3 or 4. Can't really make out the numbers very well, but if I get in here with my magnifying glass and poke around, I can see the numbers, and they actually made it nice because you don't have to memorize these from top side down. They are numbered right in front of the contact there where you solder, the solder lug I should say. So I made a list of resistors. Like I said, most of them test okay except for 1, 2, and 3. The rest of them are within 20% plus or minus. So we got to figure out why our electrolytics are 20 microfarads higher, 22 microfarads higher than what they're supposed to be, and why these tubes, the filaments burnt out. So that's where we're at right now, and we'll have more to come later. Comments are always welcome. Thanks for watching.